This video is made possible by Max at Naperville Cadillac. Naperville Cadillac offers no BS pricing, meaning what you see is what you pay. No hidden fees, the way car buying should be. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2016 Mercedes G550. Up front is a 4.0 liter twin-turbo V8, and down below is a 7-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this here G550 because this is my first ever G-Wagon. These are more popularly known as G-Wagons from Mercedes. I've always been somewhat fascinated by these vehicles, and so I'm super excited to be driving one today. But before I get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack or big friggin' bottle sticker, both with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 4-liter twin-turbo V8 under the hood. First of all, right off the bat, I love the fact that you could see the twin turbos right in the middle of the V in the V8. I absolutely love it. This replaced the 5.5 liter that used to come in these. It was a naturally aspirated 5.5 liter V8. This gets the 4-liter twin turbo and makes a whopping 416 horsepower. However, that wasn't even the most powerful engine offered here on the G-Wagon. There is the AMG version, which makes upwards of 600 horsepower. But we are dealing with just 416 today, which is still not a small number. And we're out here on the test track. So let's give this 4-liter V8 a little room to run. Nothing. No, there it is. It's quick, and you definitely get that very sort of low down, throaty driving feel from the V8. It's torquey, like I just kind of showed. The turbos don't really do much at the bottom end. However, once they do start spooling, it is a very fun ride. However, we'll talk about the ride quality in a second. Like I said, paired to its 7-speed automatic transmission, nothing really too crazy to write home about. It seems to be shifting pretty well. However, I noticed cruising around, it didn't really want to go into the higher gears. So I guess fuel economy wasn't at the forefront of Mercedes' mind, and that's okay. Last but not least, this is 4-wheel drive. We'll talk about our selections that we have with that a little bit later on, but let's talk about the driving feel. What is it like to finally drive a G-Wagon? Well, the ride is actually pretty stiff, a lot stiffer than I thought it was going to be. Start thinking Jeep, Bronco, those sorts of vehicles. This rides kind of similarly. It is a very harsh ride. Now, overseas in Europe, where this car originates from, obviously Germany, they have a totally different outlook and look at the G-Wagon, because yes, there is this luxury model that you're seeing here on screen, but over in Europe, they get more utility versions. The G-Wagon is a utility vehicle that maybe a small business might own. Airports use G-Wagons. The German military uses G-Wagons, and so that makes a lot more sense. But this being a big luxury vehicle, I would have liked a little bit softer of a ride. However, there are some pluses and minuses to it being a military vehicle, and we'll get on to that a little bit later on. That being said, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 main gauges and a screen. On the left is my speedometer and fuel. On the right is my tachometer and coolant temperature, and then I do get a screen in the center. I could switch through some things that you are seeing now. Most Mercedes, if not all Mercedes from this era, have this same sort of screen. It has this gray gradient background to it, and pretty similar. I did do a same year S-Class, and this reminds me a lot of that. That video will be linked at the end of this one, but I like it and the functionality of it. It is 6 years old at this point, so can't hate on it too much. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my back button as well as my selectors for that gauge screen, and off to the right, I have my volume and phone options, as well as I do have paddle shifters around the back, and the overall steering wheel is decent. It has this sort of hard, plasticky feel up at the top, however, pretty on par with Mercedes from this era. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent and my headlight and fog light switches. And then on the door up at the top, I have my power folding and power adjusting mirror options, as well as my power window options. Then down below that, I have my memory seat options and adjustments for my power seats, which is very nice. Moving into the center, I do have a rather small infotainment screen. I've seen cell phones in the modern era that are larger than this screen itself, so not super happy with it. However, of course, the infotainment isn't really the forefront of the G-Wagon's focus. It works, and it does have a backup camera. However, what I find hilarious is that G-Wagons have the spare tire mounted on the back, and it takes up a fair amount of the backup camera space. Looks like almost like a shiny UFO sighting because the camera quality isn't amazing from the early 2000s. Down below that, we have our center stack. We have a lot to go through here and some very interesting buttons. Right in the middle, you get 3 different differential locks for the G-Wagon. So off to the left, I can lock just the front differential. Off to the right, I can lock the rear differential. And then in the center, I can lock the center locking differential. This is really, really cool. Really speaks to the off-road prestige of the G-Wagon. Then we have our radio. We do have a number pad, which is pretty late to have a number pad. Off to the right, center, we get skip track and volume. And off to the left, I have my navigational buttons for radio, disc, navigation, telephone, mute, as well as my phone options. And then down at the very bottom of that center stack, we have heated and cooled seats, traction control off, automatic start stop on off, my parking sensors, and then of course my heated and ventilated seats for the passenger. Then we get the climate controls down at the bottom. I do get dual zone climate, and I do get max AC, which will shove the whole kitchen sink at you when it comes to cooling it down, which I very much appreciate on this 91-degree day. Then I do get an ashtray, albeit tiny, but an ashtray nevertheless. And then we have to talk about the shifter. I hate it. You know, this is such a utility vehicle. A lot of things in here are manually operated or mechanically operated as opposed to using hundreds of thousands of sensors. It doesn't feel great. When you shift gears, it goes back to the center. Park is a button, and I really don't like it. In a sort of off-road, sort of hardcore vehicle, I have this dinky little shifter. Not a big fan. Down below the shifter, we do have a heated windshield. So it actually does have heating lines inside the windshield. I'll try to get a shot. No guarantees though. And I do have my low range button, which is very nice for the 4-wheel drive. Off to the right of the shifter, I have this little basketball net cup holder. This is hands down one of the worst cup holders in a modern vehicle, mainly because it's too deep for little cups, it's not big enough for tall cups, and people who drive these get lattes all the time. I don't know where they put them. And it swings around, it doesn't stay still, and of course the big friggin' bottle doesn't fit. So I have to give the 2016 Mercedes G550 an uber fail on the big friggin' bottle test. Then I do have controls for the radio. I do like this, very tactile, has a good feel to it. As well as I have my favorites and back and clear buttons, which would be very helpful, and it's where I naturally rest my hand, so very ergonomic. I do have a 12-volt outlet as well, and a center console with some inputs, and that's pretty much it. The seats are decently comfortable. Interestingly enough, you can actually adjust them in between the seat and center consoles where you'll find some of the power options, which is just a weird location, but nevertheless, they are heated, power, memory, and ventilated. Pretty much anything I can ask for from a vehicle like this. However, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2016 Mercedes G550 G-Wagon. I actually have sat back here before. Insert photo from the Chicago Auto Show that they give you those free, terrible, but free photos from your trip. Anyway, back here, the seats themselves are very comfortable. However, I could have been a little bit more generous with the seat position. It's not super spacious back here, but it'll definitely do the job. I don't get a center console or anything like that. I do get heated seat options on the doors as well as ashtrays on the doors, carried over from the 1970s, I assume. Down below, I do have 2 climate control vents, a 12-volt outlet, and cup holders that will fit the big friggin' bottle. However, they are not easily accessible to the front occupants, so I still leave the G-Wagon with a fail. But nice to know that I guess you could reach back here and put a big bottle in the back seat, but whatever. Headroom's pretty good. Knee room, like I said, could be a little bit improved. The seats themselves are comfortable. Let's go take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the G-Wagon. And coming up here, nice solid open here. And once we are in the back of the G-Wagon, I do have this awesome outlet back here. Really, really nice. And we get tons and tons of space back here. I'm really, really impressed with the cargo space, so much to the point where I feel like they could have moved the back seats back maybe a couple inches. I know there are these sort of wheel humps back here. Maybe they could have, I don't know, worked something out, just giving the back seats maybe a couple more inches, because there is so much cargo space back here. This is where you really see the utilitarian purpose of the G-Wagon shining through back here. And of course, this door opens so solid. We'll talk more about that in a second. And you get the giant spare tire right on the back. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and obviously this is the most polarizing, most important part of the G-Wagon. It's very square. They haven't really changed the design of the G-Wagon since almost the 1970s. It has looked pretty much the same. It is unaerodynamic, and you absolutely feel that when you give it an acceleration test. However, something really great about this design and its sort of military, utilitarian background is the doors. The doors open and close with such a solid clunk. I'll play it for you here. Turn up the volume. Enjoy this almost ASMR-like door opening and closing on the G550. So satisfying. But now let's get to my final thoughts. What do I think about the G-Wagon finally driving one of the most iconic luxury SUVs ever built? Well, I'm kind of torn because I like this SUV a lot for its off-road capabilities and utilitarian purpose. I love that door closing and opening feeling. It's probably the best, no, it is the best of any modern car ever. It just feels rigid, it feels solid, and it feels like the 1979 Lincoln Continental I reviewed. This feels German strong. I love the center, front, and rear locking differentials. Fantastic qualities. And these vehicles do have serious off-road merits. These are great off-road. This is one of the best off-roaders you can buy. However, now I have to put my big fat American glasses on and realize that these are really only purchased for the glamour of it. People like the idea that they can take it off-road, but most G-Wagons will only ever see the asphalt of Ventura Boulevard in Los Angeles, or be parallel parked in Brickell, downtown Miami. That's it. Here in America, we don't get the utility spec of the G-Wagon. We don't get that honest to God basic vehicle. We only get this up-spec'd twin-turbo V8 version. We get the AMG version and a couple different engines, but you know what I mean. We only get the expensive luxury versions, and I think that that's such a misstep from Mercedes. However, what do I know? Because these things sell like hotcakes in Miami, Los Angeles, New York, and even here outside Chicago. If there's a rich neighborhood, there's a G-Wagon in it too. And I just think that that's so stupid. This is not a good car to drive. Drive a Lexus. Drive the new Escalade. I promise you, those vehicles are way more comfortable than this. Sure, if you had a 46-mile commute on unpaved roads, this would be it, but how many people in America have that? We have a very robust road system. Besides maybe one off-road path when you head out to Joshua Tree National Park once a year. Maybe it'll see some dirt then, but this is an on-road car, and it drives like an off-road one. I understand that these are a status symbol here in America, but I don't really get why. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Max from Cadillac of Naperville. He is absolutely awesome. His information is found down in the description below. Cadillac in Naperville is great. I've been working with Max for a very long time. And so if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the G-Wagon or any of Cadillac's products, please let him know. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.